I am as after dusk nobly Roman as Pope and water could christen me. Look at that for a riding pin. I am thing sing larynx, letter potent to play the sem backwards like Oskin Wilde, or in shunt Percy transluding from the other man or off the top deck, or anything off the types of my finklers in the draft, or with buttles, with my eyes thick shut and all. But hellas, it is how a brew bad on the corns and calluses. As far as that goes, I associate myself with your remark just now from Theodicy, re-furloined notepaper, and quite agree with your prescription, for indeed I am pay-gay, in juxtaposition to say it is not a nice production. It is a pinch of scribble, not worth a bottle of carbis, overdrawn, perfectly oval tosh. Besides, it's auctionable all about crime and libel. Nothing beyond clerical horrors et omnibus, to be entered for the foreign as second-class matter. The fewest filth ever fired since Charlie Lucan's flummery is what I would call it. If you were to ask me to put it on a single dimension, what pronounced opinion I might possibly orally have about them bagses of trass which the mother and Mr. Unmentionable, oh breed not his same, has reduced to writing without making news out of my pseudonym, when she slipped under the couch and where he made a cat with a peep, how they wore two badges on the make-water, and why there were three fellas in the shrubs. Then he hawks his hand-mud figures from Francie to Fritzie down to the cock and bay. Fizz is me and mother and hares, me father, both petty fam and pig pike. The live tree made flourish, by the ecotaph let it stain, with balsin ball bimbies swarming till top, come beyond, fee feel, and the Duchess didn't dying laughing at his pond peck to barrack, and all the mound reared, till he wot not what to begin he should. An infant sailing eggshells on the floor of a wet day would have more savvy. Letter carried by Sean, son of Hec, written by Shem, of Shem, brother of Sean, uttered for Alp, mother of Shem, for Hec, father of Sean, initialed G, gone, 29, hardware saint, lend it till Leonum, Baal Athacleia, 31 January 1132 AD. Here commerces Enville tried apostite house, 13 Fitzgibbets loco, dangerous tax god, BL Guineas Esquire, LB not known at 1132, a 12 Norse rich mound, knave unlodgeable, loved Noah's dress, sinned Jetty Pierce, noon sick parson, 92 wind sewer, have no such dough, Vale Finns hot expelled from 1014 D. Pull down Fairview, opened by mistake, 967 Night Humpledan Sextifits, shout at sight, roofless, fit Dunlop and be satisfied, Mr. Domhnall O'Domhnally, QV 8 Royal Terrors, none so straight, shutter up, dining with the Danes. Removed to Phillipsburg at sea, DED, place sent on, Cluntalk, Father Jacob, Rice Factor, 3 Castle Roods, PV Arstead JP, converted to hospitalism, ere the march past of civilization, once Bank of Islands, returned to City Arms, 2 Milchbroke, wrongly spilled, Trumcondras, now Bunk of England's, drowned in the Laffy, here the reverest Adam found litter. Shown Geschotten, 7 Street Peters, since Cabrank seized of the crown, well to Arthur by Paterson's, matches unto his promised hands. Blown up last Lemmers by Orchid Lodge, search unclaimed mail, house condemned by Ediles. Back in a few minutes, Closet for reapers, 60 Shelburne, key at Kate's, kiss Isaac's butt, poor man, delicious arse on court, missing, justiciated, kindly forward, Abraham Badley's king, Barky Pogie, Sald, already buried, hollow and airy, deserted, overweighed, understrumped, back to the P.O. Kaya of Owens, M.O. Toulet, to be soiled, cohabited by unfortunates, lost all license, his bout toe is frozen over, X, Y, and Z, limited. Destiny Tears, AB sender, Boston, Mass, 31 June 1312, PD, raised, lawyered, vacant mind, here's the bailiffs, step out to hall, out of that earwicker with your bloody big Bristol, bung, stop, come bum, stop, came baked to old Irene, stop. Kind Sean, we all requested, as much as we hate to say it, but since you rose to the use of money, have you not, without suggesting for an instant millions of moods, used up language, ton times, as words, as the pen marks, used out of instant scripts with such hesitancy by your celebrated brother, excuse me not mentioning him? Celebrated? Sean replied under the shelter of his broguish, vigorously rubbing his magic lantern to a glow of full consciousness. Hesitancy? Your words grates on my hours. Notorious, I would rather feel inclined to myself, in the first place, to describe Mr. O'Shem the draper, with before letter as should I accentually called upon for the Diogeneses to pass my opinions properly spewing into impulsory islets. But I would not care to be so unfruitful to my own part as to swear, for the moment, positively as to the view of Denmark. No, let me say, my every belief before my high G is that I much doubt it. Of it. I've no room for that fellow on my frag roaster. I just can't, as I hourly learned from rooters and havers, through Gilligan's maypoles, in a nice pathetic notice, he, the pixelated doodler, is on his last with illegible clergyman's boasting away always of his ruddy complexions. She, the mammy far, was put up to it by him. The iniquity that ought to be depraved of his libertines is to be silenced, sackclothed and suspended and placed in irons into some drapery institution of the antipopies for word sharping only, if he was clanver enough to pass the panel fleisch curers of the field post censor. Rack. For that is a full-blown fact and well celebrated before the 4 divorce courts and all the king's paunches, how he has the solitary from seeing Scotch snakes and has a low sense for the production of consumption and dalaky, syphalos on his rack premises, where he can purge his contempt and degenerate into a skeleton, bethinking himself to death, rot him, flannel feet, flatio. I will describe you in a word, though I beg your pardon, homo, then putting his bedfellow on me, like into Mike and Nick unto post. The crinoman, I'll give it to him for that, making the lubbock change his stops, as we say in the long book. Is he on housekeeping, or am I obnoximos posthumus, with his unique hornbook and his prince of the a pauper's pride blundering all over the 2 worlds? If he waits till I buy him a Mussulman's present, ho! Knows half-cousin of mine, pig dish, nor wants to. I'd famish with the custer first. Ahem. May we petition you, Sean, illustrious, then to put his prentice pride in your proper's purse, and to unravel in your own sweet way with words of style to your very and most obsequiant, we suggest, and yet with Aesop's foible as to how? Well, it is partly mine own, isn't it? And you may ought to welcome, Sean replied, taking at the same time as his hunger got the better of him, a hearty bite out of the honeycomb of his Brahmin melocerebral hat. Tryon, and Trioun. And Wunkum, sure. I thunkum you knew all about that honorary causes, through the elementary channels long agon. Sure, that is as old as the bard and bees of St. Dominic's, and as commonplace now to Arliss Pueblos and Buncombe as Nelson, his trifle Gurier's pillar. However, let me see do. Bierman's Bluff was what begun it, Old Nolan is boring, and then the Lillians of the Veldt, Nancy Nickies and Folliter La Jam, then May and Hem and the Jack, all about Wutcher and writing his name for him. I regret to announce after laying out his literary bed for 2 days, she kept squealing down for his noisy priors and bawling out to her jammy mock farson in Shemis like a mouther of the Incas with a Garcia lasso hue. Anonymous pinched her tights and about the bolt with the mark share Pararag and his loyal divorces. When he ferociously shoved overs in mouther, Alamayani, all of the tell of the tud, with his Burach Hevesian backlack and him the crib bibber, like an amber trickster, aspiring like the Dickens, fast aslooped in the instance to his pole-thrown chair, with his 6th finger between his cat's eye and the index, making his pilgrimace of child horrid, engrossing to his jandapan, what the idioglossary he invented under Hicks, Hyssop, Hawk, Ick, gave him that took imitator, and it was entirely thick letter to blame. Does he drink because I am sorely there shall be no more Kates and Nells? If you see him, it took place there. It was given meek, thank the bench, to assist at the whole thing by special chancery license. As often as I think of that unbloody housewarmer, Shem Scrivenich, always cutting my house to please his phrase, Bogora, I declare to get the jaw ache. By me punting his reflection, he'd begin his biograph right in muddiest ribalds, Dictator Grunsteiger, swap beef, you know he's peculiar, that exchequer, with the smell of old woman of him, to suck nothing of his switch dupes. MD made his ante-mortem for him. He was grey at 3 like Cygnus the Swan when he made his boo to the public, and barnacled up to the eyes when he repented after 7. The alum that winters on his top is the stale of the storm that will soar when he stumbles till that hag of a comb rapes the pad of his luck. He was down with the whooping laugh at the age of the loss of reason, the whopping first time he predeceased me. He's weird, I tell you. The medieval down to his vegetable soul. Never mind his false feet and his tan-bar complexion. That's why he was forbidden to mate, and was warmed of the rice course of matrimony under the helpless corpse's enchantment. I'm not at all surprised. The saint kicked him whereby the sum taken Berkeley showed the reason generously. Negas negasti, negatop, Nijatobi, Nigagunta. Then he was pushed out of Thingamabuddy School by Mrs. Garted, her for itching. Then he caught the Europicolos and went into the Society of Jewses, with Brokals and Franz Czechs and Budapsts and Bratislavos. One temp when he foiled to be killed, the freak wanted to put his bilingual head intensely through the Irish Thames and go and join the clerisy as a Demonican Skye Terrier. Throwing dust in the eyes of the holy firmers, he used to be avowed as he ought to be Vindandist. For once I squeaked by twist, I squelch him. Then he went to Celia's treat on his solo to pick up Galen, Abestos Poulos, Incubot. He has encouraged in the blood Shim I have the utmost contempt for. Prost bit and con shy. Tiberia is waiting on you, aristocrank. Shaka a seagull ticket. At Gatabura and Gabiones go over the sea, heathen, from me and leave your liver to TCD. Your pudding is cooked, you're served crummy, faithfully youthed, XXXX. But for what, thrice truthful teller, shorn of grace, weakly we went on to ask now of the gracious one, vouchsafe to say you will now, goodness, won't you? Why? For his root language, if you ask me. Wise, Sean replied as he blessed himself devotionally like a craw's bomb, making active oblivion, foot-in mouther, what the thickens else, which he pig-sticked into his letters invention. Ul ho turd and weir mudgard grain good molnir feqil look a lock bog imando where in circ quin gen rock in a roca thors for yo. The 100-lettered name again, last word of perfect language. But you could come near it, we do suppose, strong Sean, oh, we foresupposed, how? Peaks, Sean replied in Vayala penultimatum. 'Tis pebbles before Sweeney's, as he swigged a slug of John Jacobson from his tree-stem sucker cane, mild but lightsome. I might as well be talking to the four waves till Tibbs' grey eyes and the rest sleep. Frost dope no one in his 7 senses could as I have before said. Only you missed my drift, for it's being incendiary. Every dimmed letter in it is a copy and not a few of the syllables and holy words I can show you in my kingdom of heaven. The loquacity of him with his 3-star monothong, Thor, the last word in stolen telling. And what's more, right down low brown, schistematic roblement. Yes, as he was rising my lather like you, and as he was plucking his goosey bone like ye. Restore the tale of me, sure, like yup. How's that for chemise? Still in a way, not to flatter you, we fancy that you are so strikingly brainy and well letter-read in your shells as ever were the Shamus Limited, could use worth of yourself, ingenious Sean, who's still so fancied. If only you could take your time, so the trouble of so doing it. Oopoo now. Undoubtedly, but that is show, Sean replied, the buttermilk of his blood donor beginning to work, and while innocent of disseminating his foul emanation. It would be a fall day, I could not soul, so you can keep your space, and by the power of blurby words I am liable to do it. I am convicted of it. Any time ever I liked Betty Flippins, off the boot allowance, with the Allah's grossest transfusionism. As you see, while I can so acquires the Shyminus better than most, it is an open-ear secret. Be it said how I am extremely ingenious at the clerking even with my badly left and arago bras. I pencil it with the amanuensos as easy as I perorate a chicken-row of beans for the price of 2 miracles, and my trifolium libretto, the orthodox book of Leaf, would, if given to daylight, I hold a most incredible faith about it, far exceed what that bogus bolshe of a shame, my Sohamehia's brother, Geofex, is conversant with inaudible black and prink, outragey of poet skulls, a comedy of letters. I have them all, tame, deep, and harried, in my mind's eye, and one of these fine days, man dear, when the mood is on me that I may will hap cut my throat with my tongue tonight, but I will be almost moved to take potlude and intervent it. If Patrick, just like a word of merit, mark my words and append to my mark twang that will open your puck-trickers ups for you. Brother brewer, only for as a papst, and an immature, and a neophyte, and the spatiosum, and 111 other things, I would never for anything take so much trouble of such doing. And why so? Because I am altogether a chap too fly, and hairy man, for to infradig the like of that ultra-virulence. And by all I hold sacred on earth's clouds and in heaven, I swear to you on my pyropat oath, by the awe of Sean, and that's a howl of a name, that I will commission to the flames any incendiarist, whosoever or our man, how so clever, who would endeavour to set ever any Rona, mother of mine, on fire. Rock me, Julie, but I will Soho. And with that crick-crack-crook of his three-lunged squirrel, from which grief had usurped every smile, big hot-tempered husky-frusky, Crenfy-Strentfy pugilizer, such as he was, he virtually broke down on the motherhead, getting quite jerry over her, overpowered by himself with the love of a tear silver that he twined through her hair for sure. He was the soft, simple, glorn slob of the world, with a heart like Montgomery's in his show chest, and Harvey loads of feeling in him, and as innocent and as undesignful as the fresh fallen caliph. Still grossly unselfish in sick self, he dished alarms away and laughed it off with a wipe of his pudgies and a gulp apologetic, healing his tear be the smile of his eye, ogling around. Him belly no belong, solo mole pigeon, alley bully fool ooze gulper, mind you now that he was the dumpest of earnest, or threw him jaw or two, who happy hawk, earthing herther, mo like that, only he stopped short in looking up from his tide-shackled wrists through the ghost of an oceans, the weeds of fanciful heathens of Joe Peters' grassy totem, as they are telling what were and will be, all told scrooting far back into the far gone ahead to feel out what age in years topical, ecclesiastical, civil or sidereal he might Harley's wane, what betune the spheres sledding along the lacteal, and the mansions of the blessed turning on old times, as erstwhile had he craved of thus to dream, squindled, neck-lassoed him, his thumbs fell into his fists, and lassoing the harmonical balance of his ball-bearing extremities by the holy kettle like a flask of lightning over he careened. O the sons of the fathers, by the mighty fine weight of his bowel, all that prevented the hampering of who, if not the asterisks betwixt themselves shall ever, and as the wisest postload, course he could play act, collapsed in ensemble and rolled buoyantly backwards in less than a twinkling via Vatican's corner, out of farther earshot, with his highly curious mode of slip-ashed motion, sure-foot, sore-foot, slick-foot, slack-foot, linkman, leisurely, lampman, lungy, and by Kill Esther's lapes and falls, with corks, staves, and tree leaves, and more bubbles to his keel row, and fairish and easy way enough as the town cow cries behind the times in the direction of MacAuliffe's, the crusted house, opened the door softly down in the valley, before he was really upright at air in the dip of the down's wheeler. He spuriously disappalled, and vanished like a popo down a papa from circulatio. Oh, mean. Go on, tapa. And the stellars were shinings, and the earth night strewed aromatos. His pimp crept among the darkness. Her reek was raft on the luft stream. He was ours, all fragrance, and we were his for a lifetime. O dulcet dreamings, languidous tabacco. It was charming, but charming, and the lamp went out as it couldn't glow on burning. Yep, the imp went out for it. It couldn't stay alight. Well, how do the hours when thou like the fades? All's dull and yarlow, and it is be down that thou art passing hence. Mine brooder Abel shone with a twisting of the robe, ere the morning of the light calms our hardest throes, beyond Cod's cradles and Porpoise plain, from camel relations, unfamiliar faces to the inns, and forever doing, mano mano, and miria milia, even to mully mully, as our humbler classes, whose virtue is humility, can tell. It is hardly we in the country of the old. Sean Moy can part of you, oily Poe, you the walking saint, you a 222 sayer, the graced of gods and Pittites, and the salus of the wake, countenance whose disparition afflictedly fond, Fuan Fields, winner of the gamings, primed at the studios, protracted from the story bouts, the choice of age wise, spick spook spokesman of our spectresque silentiousness, musha be minded of us out there in cockpit, poor 12 o'clock scholars sometime or other any when you think the time. Wish her be coming back to me his way of home in Biddy House, one way or either anywhere we miss your smile. Palm wine, bread, fruit, sweet milk, meat milk soup, suasupopo. However, our people here in Samoninisa will not be after forgetting you and the elders, looking and marking the journeys, chalking up drizzle in drizzle out on the fair four bare mats. How would you be thinking in your thoughts how the dippings did it all begin, and how would be scrimmaging through your scruples to collar a hold of an imperfection being committed? Silan calls you. Merry lawyers sailing moonlike, and slyly Mamooneen's lady maid at Glad's house lodge, turn your coat, strong character, and tarry among us down the vale Uganda. Only once more, and may your moss of prosperousness gather you rolling home, may foggy dews bid your mondays your whoopings. May the fire plug of filiality reinsure your bunghole. May the barley wind behind glow luck to your bare the shins. 'Tis well we know you were loath to leave us whining your hobbledy-horn. Right royal post, but Arua sure, pulse of our slumber, dream book page by the grace of Votre-Dame, when the natural morning of your nocturne blank merges into the national morning of golden sunup, and Don Leary gets his own back from old grog George's quartos as that good ship, the Johnny Joys, takes the wind from waterlogged Erin's king. You will shift across the Moyland Sea and round up your own escapology, some canonizator's day or other. Sack gone back, alack, digging snow not so, like the good man you are, with your picture pockets turned knockside out in the wake of the rain, for fresh remittances, and from that till this in any case. Timeless tenant, may the tussocks grow quickly under your trump thickets, and the daisies trip lightly over your buttercups.